Alright, take a little sip for all time's sakes. That's for the old school 𝔪𝔦𝔡. Y'all know I stay thirsty. Nothing has changed. Alright, welcome back. I am so nervous. I have not done this in a long time. If you're new here, my name is Stephanie. I am the previous owner of the 𝔪𝔦𝔡 Facebook group. We did all things spooky, planning, books, and stationery, but we've had a lot of transitions. Your girl is about to be 40 in October. Blessed, happy for that. So I am a newly single-ish mama, soon to be back to school student, college student for myself. I have 5 kids with 3 under the age of 18, and I work full-time. There is just a lot going on, but at the end of the day, I still am a bullet journal lover. I'm still a book lover. I'm still a stationery lover. And if any of this sounds like it's up your alley, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe to the video, because there will be more coming in the future. The first time I did this, I definitely kind of rushed through. I want to take my time and be a little bit more intentional. So we're gonna break this video up into parts. So part 1, we did the introduction, and then part 2, I'm going to do a brief overview of what happened. Everybody knows I kind of fell off the face of the planet back in 2025. In October, I really just stopped posting. I'm sure only my girls noticed, but a lot has been going on. Part 3, we're gonna jump into my ecosystem for 2026 and how that is or is not serving me any longer. Part 4, we're gonna jump into collections and my system. As of right now, it's working great. So I wanna share that with you guys. And then part 5, we're just going to wrap everything up, and I'm going to have an invitation at the end, so stay tuned for that. So part 2, you can skip. This is more for, I would say, my personal reflections, but also for the lovely ladies that were a part of the 𝔪𝔦𝔡 prior to 2024. I just kind of had to pack everything up and just shut things down. So I do want to talk a little bit about that and just kind of share that journey, that process, and how we have gotten to where we are now. So I did officially decide to get a divorce back in 2023. It had been a thing. It had definitely been a thing. It had definitely been a contentious issue prior to that year. I think a lot happened in 2020 and the years following, but things were off prior to that, and I was so focused on my children and getting them, you know, whatever they needed, that I really kind of put all of my personal concerns about my marriage and my future and my happiness and any health, mental health, any of that, I kind of put it on the back burner, and I suffered for it. Do not recommend. However, in 2024, like I said, I officially got divorced. I have, you know, had to go through several transitions. Like I said, I am in the process of transitioning from my 30s into my 40s, which, yes, we love to see it. I'm actually very excited for my 40s. Love it. I have been following mostly influencers that were in their 40s and 50s, and let me tell you, I'm so excited. I have had 2 of my older kids move out. I, you know, moved apartments twice. I got a new job. I have recently decided to finally go back to school, because I also tried to go back to school while I was married, and you know, that can be an extra added layer of stress for a family, so that didn't end up working out. I feel like I'm in a really good place now to do so, and I am, excuse me for getting preachy real quick, but the first 39 years of my life, I was the oldest of 5. Definitely parentified daughter, definitely oldest daughter syndrome, right? However, those first 39 years were lived for everyone but me, and the rest of my life is for me. I'm taking that time back. As Auntie Maxine says, I am reclaiming my time, and I just you know, transitions is the word. So I have definitely been just really leaning into my word of the year, which we'll get into here shortly, and also fine-tuning and pruning my life, what needs to go, what needs to stay, what needs to be upgraded, all of that. And last year I did a 30-day Instagram challenge. Something happened. Honestly, it was significant at the time, and now I can't even remember what it was. Something happened, and I decided I want to take a break from social media for my birthday. Before the month before my birthday, I want to just not be on social media at all. And I also will make a honorable mention of this. I also, and you'll see this thing is really beat up and dusty, but I have this little manifestations book, and one thing that I wrote down in here last year was that I really wanted to fall in love for my birthday, and that was one of the more sillier, unserious manifestations that I wanted to get to. I was like, you know what, I have not felt genuine love, companionship, warmth, kindness, affection, all of those beautiful things that I thought, you know, love was supposed to be about. I've not felt those things in a long time. I want to experience falling in love before my birthday. And let me tell you something. Look, write it down and make it plain, because let me see, this is a newer book, but I will tell you, I wrote down several things that I wanted to feel when I fall in love, and I feel all those things now. So just a little tidbit for you guys. Definitely manifestations work, okay? They really do have some power, you know, writing it down, making it plain, saying it out loud, dreaming your big dreams. They really do hold some weight, in my opinion. So definitely love that. But because of that, and I will tell you, so I actually met the person that I'm currently with October 6th, right? I believe did we go on a date before or after? I think that we met up first. We didn't go on a date first because our date was scheduled in like a couple of weeks, right? And I think we met up just to kind of see each other in person and chit chat real quick, because he was in the same area that I was in. I went out of town for my birthday, and while we were out of town, and I joke about this with him all the time, he walked in. Like, he was definitely reaching out and texting and calling way more often the weekend that I was out of town, and I was like, okay, we got some interest here. I like it. He's a very consistent person, has still been a consistent person all these months later. And literally by October 31st, which is the day that he said I love you, I was like head over heels for this person. And, you know, being in a new relationship is it's very warm, and like I just want to keep it safe in a little bubble. So I still, even after that, I never really jumped back into being on social media because I was just enjoying life and happy, and I missed it a lot. I missed the connection, I miss my friends, I miss following them and what they're doing online. It's just, life was lifing, the good and the bad. Like, the relationship stuff was all great, but there was also a lot of things that I had to work out. Like I said, a lot of transitions. This past like maybe 6 months is when 2 of my older kids decided to move out, and there was a lot of adjustments that had to be made with that. So if you were a part of the Libras layer, or if you just follow me on Instagram and you were wondering what the hell happened, that's my little spill on the last 9 months. So yeah, I've just been enjoying being present, you know. And one thing I do want to say again with the manifestation, so I know it seems silly, right? A lot of times. I want to say this though. And I went out of town. I went to San Antonio for my birthday, and it was a whim, like on a whim. I was just like, I want to go. Like, I haven't been since I was a kid. I just want to go do something fun for my birthday. I went to San Antonio. The Airbnb that I stayed in was a gorgeous apartment, 3 bedrooms. It was spacious, roomy, beautiful. And I kept thinking while I was there, I'm gonna be so upset when I have to go home, because my apartment, my first apartment after divorce, right? You know, he kept the house. I left with all 5 kids, And we moved into a tiny, and I mean tiny, 2-bedroom apartment. The kitchen was the size of a small closet. It was cramped, it was uncomfortable, it was not nearly as easy to transition out of marriage as I had been told, I guess. But it also wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, so I would say that. But once I saw the better apartment, it was in my mind that I wanted to upgrade, and I wanted to upgrade immediately. And I kept telling myself I can't afford that. I am definitely a person that tries to live below my means 100%. I will go without before I push myself and stretch myself with a budget that I can barely afford. So I got the cheapest, smallest apartment I could find. After that trip, I was like, no, I want better. And I wasn't prepared to move right away. However, my spirit said it's time to move, and lo and behold, my entire apartment flooded. It was not fixable. They tried to fix it, and then they could not give me a replacement apartment. So they were like, sorry, you're just gonna have to move out. And I had to quickly find another apartment. So I wanted to fall in love by my birthday. I actually fell in love 2 weeks later. I wanted a new apartment the following year in April, and I ended up moving into this apartment that I have now in December. So let's just keep in mind that, once your heart is calling for something, please try to follow it, because you will be much happier. Anyways, let's get on to the actual meet. All right, so as you may have seen, or maybe not have seen, on my Instagram, this is my current everything planner, right? So this is technically a bullet journal, but I use it as a memory keeper, bullet journal, planner, junk journal, you name it. There is a little bit of everything in here. Oh my god, this is stuck on my ring. And it's a chunker, I will say that. Now, one thing I will mention is this is a custom cover, and it is not customized well. This was a DIY project of mine. If I could go back and do it again, there's a lot of things I wouldn't do. However, I think it looks good from far away for sure, but I might not use the same materials. I love these. I actually have 2 more that I can use, and I plan to use. So I have this one, and these are just embellishments that I found on Etsy, I believe. Very gorgeous, I love them. And so I plan to alter all of my bullet journals in the future in some way. So this is the everything, right? But let me show you guys what I started with. This as just the planner. This was going to be my social media tracker. This is a little pocket size. Oh my god, there's like glue on here. This is why I don't carry these. But this was gonna be my social media content planner. So I have video ideas. I was gonna put here a to-do list for content. So the filming, the editing, the creating the intro and the outros, all of that. I was gonna have a checklist for every video. And then here, the last one was more of a content calendar. Now, I have it set up, but I did not do this for May, and I did not do this for June. It was just, the last 2 months have been, I would say the last 6 months honestly have been a whirlwind, but this was part of the ecosystem. And then I have my commonplace journal, which you'll see there's kind of a theme here. I was really inspired by the 90s version of Romeo and Juliet and the aesthetics of that movie. So you'll see a lot of that, either the colors or the actual images that I found on Pinterest, which is something like this. But this is my commonplace journal. Loosely, see, I have these. I love this picture. And this was originally a media journal that turned into a commonplace journal. So I was gonna write about watching the movie Saltburn, and I just put, what white nonsense is this, because that is exactly how I felt about that movie. I have quotes in here. I have feelings. I have to-do list, not to-do list, but what I was craving, just little notes. And I did tear out a lot of pages because I did want this to be solely a commonplace notebook. So that's why this tape is here, because I ripped a lot of pages out. I'm still keeping this as part of the ecosystem, but I just don't actively use it as much. I think now that I have this desk, which is in my bedroom, it's private, it's not gonna be bothered, it's not for work. My work stuff is in the living room. So I feel like now that I have a dedicated space for journaling, I would probably use these a lot more. And then the other part of the ecosystem was this. Now, I love this in theory, but what I'm finding is I might not really be a traveler's notebook girly. I love this, by the way. This is so my style. Like, the really cool gothic cherub everything mixture is very 90s and very much my style. But I think that what I'm finding is that I'm not really a traveler's notebook type of person. I don't like that I have to take stuff out and put stuff back in. But I did get this set up. So this was my media journal, and I was a little bit more successful with using this. And I'll show you some of the stuff. I was putting movies and books. So these were some of the books that I read. I did not like the Dracula movie. The Scream 7 was okay. I enjoyed it, but it was just okay. I loved Bride. I watched Something Very Bad Is Going to Happen, and that is my all-time favorite show. Like, my God. This, I didn't finish writing my review. It's on Shudder. It's called Mother of Flies. 5 stars. That was so amazing. And it's an indie film. It was, I don't know, like, that was so interesting. It's very interesting and beautifully shot. Star Wars, Tales from the Crypt, Rama. I went to go see that at a small theater in Denton, and that was super fun. And then that I already did, so I'm not gonna worry about that. I'm not sure if I'm gonna keep a media journal because I technically already have a space in my bullet journal for books. There's a lot of collection pages for books, so I'm not sure. This was supposed to be my rebranding book, but it turned out to be notes from book club that I kept. And so I'm not sure how I'm going to revamp this or how I'm going to use that. And then back here, I'm also not sure. This was supposed to be a social media. This wasn't for planning social media. It was more like recipes, thoughts, wish lists, and DIYs from my social media. So that might still say, and I am not quite sure how I might change this. If you have any ideas of what I could use this book for, the 3 books inside, feel free to suggest them. I'm still just like, I think my mind works so well for a bullet journal that I just might have to let go of the idea. I love the look of traveler's notebooks, but I think I mentally don't work that way, if that makes any sense. And then, so this was the ecosystem here. As you can see, it wasn't extensive, but it was also not super functional. I really only used this. And then for this, I did want to mention a part of that system was using page flags, and I also want to add sticky notes. I haven't been using those, but I'm definitely going to when I set up my latter half of the year bullet journal. Okay, so, and I do want to mention the way that I use these is for reference points. So for example, the future log, I have that tabbed. My bookish pages is tabbed. My period tracker is also tabbed because those are pages that I go back to often. But I also use these tabs for pages that I want to quickly be able to reach. And I could label them, but I kind of mentally know what they are. Like this tab over here is for notes that I needed for school when I did my student advisor meeting. And then this little green right here, I didn't have my tabs handy, as you can see, and I really prefer the tabs because that little sticker is kind of hard to see. This was also a page of notes that I really need for school. So I like the bullet journal method. One thing that I cannot seem to wrap my head around is the index page. I never remember that I have it. I never remember it. So instead of having an index, I use tabs for pages that I know I'm gonna need to flip back to. All right, so that was a super long-winded intro, but we are about to hop right into the flip through. So get you some water. I'm drinking 𝔪𝔤𝔡 tea. It is a gorgeous blue. I added a little bit of extra herbs in there, but I'm trying to get my blood pressure down before my doctor's appointment so they don't turn me away again. Okay, but all right, we're gonna jump in. So just hang tight, grab you a beverage, and let's jump in. All right, so now we are on to part 4. We are going to hop into the collections pages. I'm really excited to share because I wouldn't say I found planner peace, but I definitely feel that I created a system that really works for a type B ADHD person. I am not type A. I struggle with remembering things. I most likely have ADHD, and I just need something that is as flexible as my mind is sometimes. And I feel like mentally my thoughts are they're firing at all times, and just being able to keep everything in one place really helps. So we will get into this. I've been very consistent and I'm very proud. One thing I wanted to mention, so all of the aesthetics were heavily inspired by the 90s movie Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio, but also this journal that I got from Berga, which is the company that I get my phone cases from. This is the exact same as the phone case that I currently have, and they're so beautiful. This is kind of, I guess I could consider this a part of my ecosystem, but this is just where I keep notes of all kinds: work notes, notes for phone calls, ideas that I have that I don't have a place for. This is just kind of like a junk throw my mind at kind of journal. Okay, so I forgot to mention that in the last one. So let's hop in here. And sorry about if this lace is bothering anybody. I was trying to decrease the glare because for some reason this wood is very shiny. So we've got our little decor in the front. I really love the gothic, romantic, kind of Catholic leaning aesthetics. I joke around my boyfriend all the time and tell him that like Catholics definitely have Christians beat when it comes to aesthetics. They just do. I don't know, it's so cool. I'm not a Catholic or a Christian, but love the aesthetic. So this is just that little page in the front that is shorter than all of the rest of our journal pages. I did use this just this tiny space to write down the grid spaces. So there's 26 across and 40 down. That's a quick reference point for, you know, how much space I have on each page. And then we have our just kind of Happy New Year dashboard. I want to say that I didn't even start this until like mid-January. So once we get into the next section of the actual planner, you'll see that like this started mid-January. Another Romeo and Juliet little page marker. These are so pretty. This is my 2026 word of the year and intentions. And I don't know if you guys can see, but this has a little embossing that says from the library of Stephanie Ray Jones, and it has the little moon and stars. So cute, and I love it for journaling specifically. My boyfriend got me that as like a random gift, and I absolutely love it. It's so cool. But let me see. Okay, so my word of the year this year was authentic. I definitely feel like we have that down, okay? Like, I have had to fine-tune a lot of my life and myself like her. I feel authenticity, getting in touch with yourself, really connecting within is what your 40s are all about, and I have started that process and I'm looking forward to continuing it. I did an about me spread. I was gonna add more detail, but I kind of liked how it looked with all the negative space. I just put my sun, moon, and rising, and then I have my currently age, location, in love with. I put myself, my life, and decorating, enjoying, struggling with, loving, excited for, nervous about, and learning. I love this page. I feel like at the end of the year I'm gonna love looking back on this. Had a wheel of the year and a full moons page. So these are probably going to get migrated into the new journal for sure. I definitely keep track of my spiritual days in my planners. And I have my future log. This is the first year since I discovered bullet journaling several years ago. This has been the first year that I feel that I have really connected, and I truly feel like it's because I'm about to turn 40 and life is just it's just changing. There's so many transitions. I know you guys are probably tired of hearing me say that word, but there really is just so many transitions and so many changes that the bullet journal has it is most likely the only journal that could really sustain me during all of these changes. So you'll see, I really did use the future log. Also, honorable mention, I do keep this on my desk. This is the actual bullet journal method book. And I am constantly flipping through this and looking for inspiration. I do get some inspiration on Pinterest, but a lot of the times I'll go through and read about people's different practices and things that they added and how they notate and all of that. It's very helpful. I did want to mention that it's a really good book to keep by the bedside. There is a gnat in here and it is driving me crazy, y'all. I apologize. I live in Texas. Whenever it is summertime, there is an inevitable plague of gnats. It is insane. But yeah, I have continuation of my future log, and as we'll see, there's already dates for the end of the year, so I will need to migrate all of this. And we get to my bookish section. This is a very overstimulating page, but I'm kind of okay with it. It's all right. Then we have a book for Black fantasy series that I want to read. I just read the first book of the Belle series. I don't know if I will be continuing that. I felt like I really loved the aesthetics of the book. I loved the descriptions, but at some point it was purely aesthetics. There was not much going on at all. And then it was all the plot was shoved into the last 25% of the book, and I'm not sure. I liked it, but I don't feel like it was enough that I'm immediately wanting to jump into the next book. So we'll see how that goes. I also need to add, dang it, our ruthless vows? I believe our vicious vows. I'll put the name. Arkita is currently mad at me because I DNF'd that book. But as I told her, it is a soft DNF. I just really wasn't in the mood for it at the time. So I'm gonna go back to that. This is an old dashboard from Tiara. She is Planners and Tiaras on Instagram. She also has a Patreon. If you love these kinds of little planner accents, printables, she creates these. She even created the vellum, and you can print them out yourself. I loved her Patreon. The only reason I don't have it anymore is because I don't have a printer. Once I get a printer, which should be here soon, I will definitely be signing up again for the Patreon. I highly recommend it. For 10 bucks, she gives you so much value for the money. It's crazy. And then I have 20 new Black authors that I plan to read from. I need to update this list because I actually have found even more. So my bookish pages are not fully set up. This currently, my current reads, this was a project of mine. I currently have 55 current reads listed on Storygraph from books that I started and I either didn't finish them or I didn't DNF them. So I wanted to go through and see what's worth keeping there on the list, or what I can DNF, or what I can go ahead and read. This is what this spread is for. I love this picture. And then I kind of off to the side had a bar because there is 40 books on that list, and I want to kind of be able to keep track of when I'm getting rid of some of those books. This is probably my favorite page. I do this all the time, pretty much whenever I set up a bullet journal or Stylogy, whatever, bookshelf, and then my yearly goals. This year I lowered it from 60 books to 40, and I'm still so super behind. I have read more than 7 books. I need to update this as well, but normally I'd be at 20 books by now, and I just definitely have not been reading that much. The reading slump is killing me. I have a bookish wish list, and then I have aardvark books that I have purchased. Let me tell you something. I'm not an affiliate of any kind. They do not know who I am. But if you are in the market for a really good subscription box and you like sci-fi, romantasy, horror, especially horror, or weird literary fiction, highly recommend Aardvark. Book of the month has been super hit or miss for me for years. I still keep the subscription just in case something catches my eye, and because lately they've been having special editions that I kind of like. But I do not even use my credit for book of the month every month because a lot of times they don't have anything that I want to actually read. Aardvark, there has never been a month that there isn't something I'm like really wanting to read. So I've been keeping track of all the books that I have from there. Then we jump over to my period tracker, which I should have did this half of the year, but I wasn't sure if I was gonna be able to finish this book from December, which I should have known better, but should have stopped this in June. There's another really pretty Romeo and Juliet inspired dashboard. I love this picture. It reminds me of me in Cyprus. And then this is really important to me as well. I have my period notes. I think that getting the closer I get to 40, the more I feel like my cycles are kind of intense. The symptoms I'm experiencing are a bit much, so I wanted to kind of make notes every month of things that I'm noticing in case something's just really needs to be documented or stands out, or like a lot of the times I'm experiencing like excessive bloating for like a week and a half, but if I'm noticing every month it's happening, I know that it's just, you know, part of the cycle and I have to tough it out. Funnily enough, this tea is really good for. So if you have struggled with bloating around your cycle, Palo Azul is your go-to. I will warn you, it tastes like wood water because that is exactly what it is. I love the taste of dirt, or not dirt, but I get made fun of because I like earthy tasting things. So I drink my teas without sugar or flavoring, honey, you know, I don't add any of that. I like herbs, so it's, you know, if you don't like that, you could definitely add some sweetener to them. Okay, so we are about to hop into the actual months and weeks and dailies. So quick pause, get a sip, take an intermission, and we will jump back in just a moment. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and jump into the monthlies, weeklies, and dailies. So I kind of have the same setup every month, so I'm not gonna go into a lot of detail. I'll just highlight things that I really enjoyed or things that I probably won't be doing again. Things that I enjoyed, I love this dashboard. This was totally thrown together from different sticker books, sticker pages, sticker packs, but it actually came out really good. I like that. I added this little page divider. These were all printed from Pinterest. And Cyprus works at a library, so she printed these off for me. They have really good paper there, so I love when she can print stuff for me. And I just have my January dashboard. I was wanting to do a 2025 review. I probably won't be going back to this. I also had January goals page, did not finish that, but I'm going to let you guys know now, I'm not going to go back and fill in, like backfill a lot of pages. Some of them I will, just because it's just me adding photos, but a lot of this stuff I'm probably not going to go back to. And like I stated before, I didn't even start this until January 12th. So I was a late bloomer on the journal game, but I like the daily pages. I always have a daily pages. I had a 2026 rebrand page ready to go and I never came back to it. This is why I do not like to set up daily pages ahead of time, because I didn't do anything with these, but they were there. Snow days, these are one of the pages I'm definitely going to go back and put the pictures in for. Let's see, this is my in bulk page. We do celebrate the wheel of the year throughout the year, so me and my kiddos have family traditions that revolve around the wheel of the year, and we don't celebrate every single one just because sometimes it's not feasible, but we try to stick to them most of the time. I actually hate this page. I hate this page so much. It was so just not it. I do not like this page, so we're gonna move on. I usually have a review page for the prior month and a goals page for the current month. And I have a calendar, and I had a page for bills and important dates. I kind of like this. I want to do this again. This is where you'll see that I kind of mix like junk journaling and regular journaling. I have like my first time, what does this say? I put drop-in laundry is amazing because I've started getting my clothes laundered at like with a laundry service. Highly recommend. My God, it is so worth the money. This is, like I was saying, Tiara makes these. I printed this out like a few years ago and I found it in an old journal. So I just, because I forgot to journal about this particular day, I decided to put it here in between the dates that I had. And it was just, we went to the paranormal circus and we went to go see the movie Dracula, the love tale or love story, whatever it was called. I hated it. Do not recommend. If you are a Dracula fan, it was not what I was hoping for. I will say that. You can go see it if you want to, but wasn't my favorite. This is a weekly spread. You'll see coming up here shortly that I totally changed how I do weekly spreads. In the beginning of the year, they were pretty minimal. And I was just kind of a lot of information. I had a monthly aesthetics reset of things that I wanted to do. Just keep track of like nails, pedicure, eyebrows, lashes, all of that stuff. I did not even fill this out. But I need to actually because this is really helpful. So I might migrate this. And let me see, where is my little tabs? So I'm gonna put a little tab here so that I can see the tabs that I have on the side are pages that I want to include in my next journal. Here's a kind of memory keeping spread when I took my kiddos to Bubble Planet. I started getting a little bit more creative in the spring months. With spring and fall are typically my favorite seasons, so the creativity is blooming during those times. My review and my goals pages. This is why I calendar for the month. I was decorating my patio and planting an herb garden for spring, so it's very spring and plant themed here, which I kind of like. I got really into gratitude journaling. I had a lot to be grateful for. It was a beautiful time. My habit tracker, I have mixed feelings about these. I originally was like, I need to keep track of doing all these things, and what I'm finding is habit trackers serve as more of a reminder of things that I want to do and not really keeping myself accountable. So I'm not sure if I will continue to do that. This was supposed to be a spread for 𝔬𝔦𝔡, but I don't think we did it this year. I think the kiddos are with their dad. We kind of skipped it. And then yeah, I got more daily. I love these. I started, you know, kind of falling off a little bit with the weekly pages. This is my spread from when me and my boyfriend went to Denver. This was my very first vacation. It is so special to me. However, I will say nothing will test the relationship like a road trip. For the first time, that was so challenging. It was very challenging. I got to see how different, like, me and him are very alike, but we're also very different, and I got to see those things in real time. So it was a little bit intense, but still one of my all-time favorite memories. Like a full 5 days uninterrupted with just us was very special. I loved it. I did journal about the things that we did while we were there, except for like the Thursday through Saturday days. I might go back and try to fill this out because I do have pictures from these days. And then this, okay, so this is where I developed or kind of created the current weekly spread that I do almost every single month. It's some variation of this. So I like to have a weather tracker, a morning breaks and afternoon routine, a to-do list, a to-buy list, and then I always have habit tracker, mood tracker. I have since included a steps tracker and a sleep tracker. I also like to do a next week kind of space for appointments that are the following week. So in my head, this is gonna sound crazy. So in my head, if something is on the following week, I'm not gonna go back and put it in the monthly section, right? Like I'm not gonna flip all the way back here and put it on the calendar. I'm gonna put it here. If it's more than a week, I'm gonna put it on the calendar so I can remember. If it's more than a month, then I will put it in the future log over here, if that makes sense. So that has been really helpful for me. It's just keeping things simple in my mind, you know? Do what works for you though. I really love this sticker. Oh my God, it is so pretty. It came from one of these, what is it? The Woodlandia Sticker Emporium sticker books. I will actually show you guys. Hopefully this doesn't fall over. It came from here and I really love those. They had a few of those like stickers that fit a whole page and I really enjoy them. Okay, more daily pages. Want to put something in between these two pages because separately I like both pages, but when they're side by side, to me it's such an eyesore. I don't know if that's just me being really nitpicky for some reason, but I just don't like it. Like I feel like these are so clashing. But this was my spring TBR that I did not stick to. Okay, and so we've got our March review. I love this little page divider. It's so pretty. This one too. And then I have my April goals. I really didn't do too much. The only thing that I do want to do in the future is I included a space for YouTubers that I was watching and following. So I was listening to or watching 𝔱𝔤𝔞𝔯 a lot. Her journaling videos are very chatty and I feel like she's way younger than me, but I feel like she kind of gave me the little extra boost in confidence because one thing that I am really self-conscious about is I'm a yapper. Like I am a talker. I'm definitely one of those kids like that was told like, oh my God, do you take a breath? Like when I was comfortable around most people I was silent, but when I was comfortable I was definitely a yapper. So she kind of, I feel like she's not as bad as I am. She goes off on little tangents, but she's able to, you know, circle back. She definitely gave me the little confidence boost of like, you can still, you know, be a yapper and get the job done, you know? All right, so this was my countdown to 40 page. I just had a picture of myself from the last 10 years. I was gonna write little notes. I'm probably not gonna do that, to be honest. This is my calendar. Now, this is where I started getting really into monthly planning. I really was putting in my spiritual days, like the full moon and new moon things, you know, when to do certain rituals, my paydays, due dates. I really started leaning heavy on the monthlies. I love this. It's so pretty. I love that. And then I just have this little dashboard here. Same thing here. This one got messed up because of the tape, but it's okay. I also have a gratitude log here. I have to take a brief intermission because my boyfriend works nights and he always calls me on his lunch break, which is right smack in the middle of the time that I typically am planning. All right, so like I was saying, this was the first month that I really started being like in my planning zone. So I did a lot of habit tracking, gratitude tracking. I tried to do a budget page that didn't work out. For me, I believe I need a visual budget, so I'm gonna stick to keeping it on my calendar. Again, I really love this type of week's setup. I feel like it really works for me just to have like my daily like honorable mentions, and then, you know, the actual daily pages, I have more information. And then I like to keep track of little things on the dailies, like when it rains, and I really enjoy rain, so you'll see a lot of these little clouds with me just talking about it raining. A book that I finished at this time was not a fan of The Starving Saints. Let me know if you read it. I'm genuinely curious to see how other people receive that book, because for me, sorry, somebody drove by on a motorcycle. I'm really curious to see how others receive that book, because for me, it just felt like there was nothing substantial to grip, right? Like the main characters, the 3 female characters, kind of all blended together personality wise, and because I was listening to the book on audiobook, I felt like there was not a lot of differentiation between the three of them. I know they were three separate people, but a lot of times I was like, wait, who is talking right now? And that continued to happen throughout the book all the way up until the ending. And then I was kind of like, okay, this is the knight, this is the scientist, and this is the person from the knight's past. But throughout the story, it just felt claustrophobic, and like there was no sense of time, there was no sense of place, or where are we, what are we doing. Like it was very just kind of fever dreamish, which typically it doesn't bother me, but I feel like for some reason this book just did not hit or scratch that itch that I was having for like some weird fiction. Only thing I will say is whoever designed the cover is a genius. I absolutely love the cover of that book. This was a failed project. I do not like having my weeklies in a box like this. I do feel like I need some free space because the first 4 days of my week are typically super to-do list heavy, and then the rest of the week maybe not so much. So I need more space during the weekday, not so much the weekend, and having them equal really didn't leave me with a lot of space. But it looks nice. It's definitely not going to be my go-to in the future. Documenting a nightmare that I had, more daily pages. Yeah, it's a lot of memories in here. This is one of my favorite weeklies simply because I put a box around the weekly. So the rest of the stuff is still the same. The weather, I love tracking the weather for some reason. I don't know why. My currently, my notes, my next week, my bills that I had to pay, to buy, packages, my habit tracker. Didn't actually start tracking my sleep and steps and moods until later on. But I really do like this spread, and I also like these like gold corners. I don't know why, it just looks cute, so I might go back and do that again. Let's see. Like I said, a lot of junk journaling. I really got into these Sour Patch Kids strawberry flavored. One thing I know is if you struggle with anxiety, keeping sour candies on you is a godsend. The sensory kind of overload of the sour candy can sometimes help with really anxious feelings, or even if you're getting close to a panic attack. I put this because this was my first time really trying that out, and it definitely works. New song that came out by Jessie Reyez. Our little 5:30 a.m. coffee dates, me and my boyfriend, almost every single week since we've been together. Like 5 a.m. we'll go to Starbucks together. So put that in there. A new toothpaste that I loved, a new eyeshadow that I tried. I don't do the junk journaling a whole lot. I definitely want to add more. I typically just keep receipts for things sometimes if I had a really good time. Yeah, I haven't been keeping up with that as much. So this spread I do want to quickly give an honorable mention to, because this is a Hobonichi Weeks inspired spread, and I also really like this. Like you'll see I go back to my same style of spread with the same information, but I really do enjoy this type where my week is on one page and all my data and information is on the other page. I really like this. I think I'm probably gonna stick with doing something like this a lot more in the future. This is my library receipt, library day. So this is actually, I do need to put a tab here because the tab that I had there is a little bit too small. I'm gonna put a tab here because this is my school information that I will need. There was already a tab there, but it's too small. Pictures from my baby's birthday. Then we get into April and May. This is the really cute, I love this like all blue theme. I really enjoyed this. I did start getting into these gold stars too. You'll see those kind of sporadically. One thing I will say, I try to keep track of habits. So the way I have it broken down is 4 boxes for the month to represent the 4 weeks, and how many of those weeks completed for each habit. I will not be doing this again. It sounded good in my head, but it doesn't really help because I'm not doing these habits as a like hard and fast rule. These are just things that I would like to remember to do, so it's just information. And then I love this image. This is so pretty. Let's see. yeah, this is the same, you know, YouTube videos that I enjoy, movies I plan to watch, books I wanted to read, my gratitude. I got really heavy into that. This month I added a manifesting and a playlist section. Didn't really do a whole lot there. Again, my monthly, I kept it pretty simple with like a bills section on the bottom. This is my favorite thing to do now, more habit tracking during the week. So these look really empty because I did more tracking on the weekly pages and I just didn't go back to fill it out on the monthly. But I did go back to do the mood, sleep, and steps, and this is pointless. I will be honest and say that the only thing this really does is reaffirm the fact that I'm in a better mood when I get more sleep. That's pretty much it. But I just like the look of having this information. It's really just an aesthetics thing. It doesn't really do much for me other than that. There is one thing that I added in the next month that I'll show you guys, but I just like how it looks, honestly. And then, you know, more tracking. This is my typical spread, so we won't get into that. More daily pages. This is another receipt from Starbucks. I tried their cinnamon pool for the first time. I like that. Same thing, a lot of tracking. I kind of slight variations from week to week, but it's all the same information. This is a fountain pen that my boyfriend bought me, very thick. I'm not used to writing with a nib that thick, but I actually really liked it as far as like the ease and smoothness of writing. If you like to write in cursive, I like a bigger nib. So only thing I didn't continue using it is because it does kind of bleed through, so that's unfortunate. Take this out of the video. All right, and then I documented a really good fall themed coffee syrup. That was amazing. This is another spread that I kind of liked. I kept the weekly super small with only appointments, and then I had other, you know, things here. I had my weekly to-dos, content, tracking of like my little, have a scripted, filmed, edit, thumbnail, upload, post to socials. This was going to be how I track my content. I might still do this in the future, so I'm going to put another tab here just because I might want to come back to this and add these for my upcoming weeks in my new bullet journal. I really like having the little tabs. I feel like it's such a easy way for me to be like, I really wanted to add this to my migration. So first time I cut Amron's hair myself, and I was, you know, actually trying to just make a style, not just so much just cut all his hair off as what I normally do, and it was not great, but I'm getting better practicing. I went to a rave with my boyfriend and his sister in the middle of the week, which was crazy, and then we had a baby rave with the kiddos, which was really fun. And same thing here, pretty normal stuff. What did I put here? I have a tab here because I do need to come back and add pictures from the kiddos' graduations for this year. So that's another reason I use those tabs. Weekly, daily. I had my ideal day routine. I want to fill this out eventually, but again, when I said earlier in the video, I'm in the process of so many transitions. My schedule, my ideal routine for a day in the summer is going to look different in the fall because of school, and then in the winter time because of the sun going down early. Like, this is hard to follow for me right now, so I might come back to that. More pages, just, you know, writing things down. May and June is where I really got intentional with my bullet journal and my journaling. I did a lot of things that I had as goals for June. I'm so proud of myself. Let's see. The only thing I really didn't do was my TBR, honestly. That's my June dashboard. This was just a picture from one of those Sticker Emporium books. I really like those. My gratitude, I can go back and fill these because I do have a voice journal that I keep in my phone for when I don't feel like pulling out my journal and writing things down. And then as well with this, it looks like it's not filled out, but I do keep track of that during the week. So if I really want to go back and, you know, fill it in, I have that on here as well. Won't be going forward with the one line of the day because I feel like often it's just the same as my gratitude of the day, so it's kind of repetitive. Had a beginning of the month rituals. I will say, if you're a part of the Libras layer, you remember that I used to do seasonal calendars. I am definitely going to bring those back because I used to have a phone background for every month. I had a computer background for every month. I do my cinnamon spells, I refresh my money bowl, inventory my skincare and my self-care like station, because I have a little self-care station on my desk. So those are things that I do at the beginning of the month. I'm going to make a tab here because I do want to migrate these pages as well. And then I have my cleaning schedule, which this is just a really simple schedule for me to follow. There's more stuff that I have to do in between, but this is kind of like the bones of keeping everything in order, and I'm getting closer and closer to this. It's just, like I said, so many transitions, so many moving parts that nothing is perfect, okay? But yes, I do want to bring back the seasonal living lists that I did that were spooky themed. It was like a lot of quirky or spooky themed seasonal living lists that you can just kind of use as a guide to celebrate seasonally. So gonna bring those back for sure. So this is my monthly, like I said, I got really into planning for the month on the monthly calendar. My weekly page, in the beginning of June, I was kind of very busy for one thing, but also I just wasn't feeling very called to plan everything out. I was more kind of just doing and not really planning. That is not good if you have ADHD, by the way. But I, quickly got back into it. By the second week of the month, I was kind of back in the game. Daily pages. I tried out my new markers or highlighters that I got. We went to the movies together. Cypress totally third wheeled and took over my date, but it was fine. We had a good time. We went to go see Obsession and I was traumatized. My God, I had nightmares for weeks. Another weeklies. So it's all pretty consistent. I feel I love the bullet journal for its ability to keep me consistent. This is another page I need to fill out. So let me throw a tab down here because we took the babies to go see the mermaids at the aquarium and we took a picture together, but I also took pictures of the kiddos. Letha, I also need to fill this out, or not fill it out. I really don't need to put anything. I just need to print out the pictures. And so yeah, never again using yellow. It is such an eyesore and it does not feel good to look at. So we're gonna quickly skip that. I got back into journaling for those 2 days, but then of course, life started happening again. Let's see. Yeah, just, normal stuff. Full moon in Libra, reflections from the last new moon. This was so good. If you find an astrologer that does the, reflect on this time last year or reflect on this time 6 months ago, that is so helpful for me and it's so affirming because one of the things that I had to look back on from the last new moon in Libra was in January 17th. I was struggling with feeling abandoned and those things have since resolved, but also I gained a new perspective on me and my feelings of like how I feel around fear of abandonment or fear of like somebody not reciprocating the same feelings. If you've ever been divorced, this is a total side tangent, but if you've been divorced, you will be familiar with the feeling of like, or maybe not, maybe it's just me, but I have this like deeply rooted fear of falling into the trap of trying to love someone that you can't see doesn't love you back or doesn't love you the same, and or trying to make something work when the other person just has zero interest in it. That is a huge fear of mine. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I definitely talked to a therapist about it because it's to the point where like I have to mentally like talk myself down off a ledge. And this reflection on the new moon from January 17th to now was so spot on. Like, those feelings over the last 6 months have resolved and it solidified where I am now, which is I do not want to live in fear. I don't want to love from a place of fear. every bit of love that I give currently in my life now is reciprocated. It's nurtured, and if at any point in the future that stops being the case, I am fully within my rights and my capabilities to say, hey, you know, this has changed, and I'm not going to wait 10 years like I did in the past to see if this will change. But also, the love that I give is theirs to keep, right? Like, I feel like that's what I learned from this full moon, is that I don't have to fear somebody one day not loving me as much, or not loving me the same, or not reciprocating my feelings. I don't have to worry about any of that. Like, I can genuinely just love from my heart, and if the person that I chose loves me the way that I think that they do, then great. If one day that changes, that is okay. That time was not wasted. It's not something that I will look back on and be ashamed of or be upset by. I love from my heart and not from fear. So that's my side tangent. That's my lecture. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Okay, so we are done. The only thing I want to say is I am not a completionist by any means, but I do kind of cringe at the fact that this journal still had about 30 pages left. There was a lot of pages. So in order to make myself feel a little bit better, I decided that I was going to kind of sketch out how I want my next bullet journal to be set up. So I'm just gonna quickly show you guys. I'm gonna have a cover page. I want to have a mid-year, dashboard, my new word of the year, and my new intentions for the year, because I do feel like being authentic, I've hit that mark. I've created the space for it. I've stuck to it. I've committed to it, and now we can move on to something else. I'm gonna put my wheel of the year with the remaining holidays on it, the remaining full moons, of course, my future log for the rest of the year. I'm gonna do the period tracker with the notes. Since it's only half the year, I feel like one page is fine. I'm gonna do a page for my fall semester classes, a breakdown of my schedule, like a visual schedule, and then a course outline for each class that I'm taking, back to school shopping list for myself and the kiddos. And then I'm going to have favorite pictures from the last 6 months. This will probably be a 2-page spread, I'm not gonna lie. And then I'm going to also include an inventory tracker for skincare, hair care, toiletries, and I'm also going to add one more thing, which is going to be supplements. And I'm just going to have it to where there's July, August, September, October, November, December. We're gonna go through the rest of the year, and I'm gonna number it like from 1 through 31, so that if I purchase something, I can check it off and say this has already been done, and then I can kind of glance back and say, okay, well, the last time I bought toothpaste was in whatever month. We might need to re-up on that, because we buy toothpaste like every 2 months ish. I buy like some for my bathroom, some for the kids, every 2 months. That's loosely what my inventory should look like. And then I'm also going to use the rest of these pages as just kind of reflections. I'm not done with this, like mentally and spiritually. I'm not done with this book. I'm gonna go back and print a lot of pictures out and put them in, because I do go back and look at my old journals quite often. So I do want to make sure that everything that's tabbed, it's either going to be in the migration or it's going to be a page that is updated. So those will be taken out as I do them. I do have a free day off on Friday, so I'll probably be updating this on Friday. I probably won't do another flip through unless you guys are interested in that, but probably won't. And then that'll be that for this book. So all right, and now that we have that out of the way, I'm gonna show you. Okay, so this is how these planners look without my embellishments, right? And look at the chunkiness. Y'all, I love a chunky planner. I love a messy, whimsical, just lived in planner. So this is how it normally looks. It was this in green. So I'm not sure yet if I'm going to just try to leave the cover as is, or if I'm gonna try to make it match. I do, like I said, have these two embellishments that I could use, but my thinking as of now is that I might skip adding the fabric. I might glue this to the cover and then get a plastic cover to protect it from being like rubbed up against, you know. So we'll see. I might do that. I'm not sure which one of these. I'm thinking probably this one. I feel like this looks better with the black. So yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do as far as embellishing the front of the planner. Yeah, and then I also have these monthly tabs that I can use instead of the washi tape, because that was an idea that I had that was not successful. As you can see, just there's no differentiating, it's just all one big blob. So I do have actual tabs that I can use for the monthly section. I'm going to continue using my tab method for the reference pages that I want to go back to. I'm still going to be using my stars throughout. I have plenty more images printed from Pinterest, from Cypress, that, you know, match the same aesthetic as the first half of the year. I don't know why, because I've never been that type of person, but all of a sudden I'm like, I want a cohesive theme here, you know? So I still have a lot of pages and just additions. I still have a lot of, that is so pretty. It's such a cool image. I still have a lot of really cool things that I can include that kind of all match the same aesthetic, like that vintage crimson blood Bordeaux color, you know, all of that. I still have a lot of that left, so I'm going to keep these ready to go, and this will be all included in my migration, which will be the next video. I have already kind of started using it just because we're already in July, girl. I need to hurry up. So I didn't do anything other than a weekly spread and a couple of dailies, because I really was just like, I need a place to put things. But I am going to either tonight or tomorrow film the setup for this, the migration. So if you're interested, please feel free to stay tuned. Thank you so much. If you have watched to the end of this video, please leave me a little black heart for the black bullet journal. Let me know, what is your setup looking like? Did you stick with your ecosystem throughout the year, or have you changed it? Do you enjoy bullet journaling? Like, what's the tea? What do y'all got going on? I might need to add something to my system. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. This has been so fun, but I'm actually tired of talking, so I will see y'all later. Love you, bye.